Devastating bushfires are raging across our country at the moment and emotions are running high. But let's cut through the bull. If you're using these fires to push your apocalyptic climate change warnings, you are not only full of crap, you're also an a-hole. Horror bushfires have been burning through this land from before we even got here. Just because everyone has a camera in their pocket in 2020 to capture the horror doesn't mean it never happened before. How do you imagine Black Thursday bushfires in 1851 or Black Sunday in 1955 looked before, iPhone X was released? Even just 10 years ago, Black Saturday bushfires killed 173 people in Victoria.
173 people died that day and night, and more than 2,000 homes were destroyed.
So let's cut the crap. It's bloody sad, and as a country, we must get behind the victims. But pointing at climate change is just plain wrong. For argument's sake, let's say you're right about the science, which I'm not saying you are. But to make this point, let's agree that you are right. Even if Australia cuts carbon emissions to 0% today, it would have absolutely no effect on climate change because we're so insignificant on a world scale. So if you're right about the climate science, Australia is really just a victim of the world's emissions. And unless you can get China and India to cut to 0% as well, we'll continue to be so.
China doesn't show any signs to cut theirs. The country is already the world leader in CO2 production with just under 10 million tons of carbon dioxide a year. That's almost a third of all global man-made CO2 each year.
We both know that's not going to happen. You're not getting China or India, let alone both. So why the hell are you going on about it? You don't have any practical solutions for rural Australians that are losing everything as we speak. You're just using their pain and suffering to score cheap political points. Again, if you're right about the climate science, then Australia is just a combustible island. And all we can do practically is minimise the impact. It would help if you weren't screaming about the problems we can't do anything about and instead talk about what we can actually control, like backburning, support and planning and proper funding for the firefighters. Oh, and how to stop the arsonists from lighting these bloody fires in the first place. Not climate change, people.
At South Turramurra, the planes had barely stopped bombing and the bush was still smouldering when police started chasing down suspects.
Witnesses have said that they've seen you at the fire earlier today.
These two were questioned, their car searched, then let go.
And while you're at it, stop hiding and start condemning these idiots from your side of politics who advocate policies that are responsible for this crisis. Instead of all that, you guys push your radical agenda on these people's backs. You pretend to care about the firefighters because it's another way to attack our Prime Minister. But only a couple of months ago, you claimed they go home and beat their partners during these testing times.
Defending labelling the government
arsonists.
Now's not the time to go quiet. Now's the time to take action.
The action taken by Green Senator Larissa Waters is to call another news conference, at which women's rights activist Cheryl Moody claims returning firefighters are more likely to beat their partners.
After a cataclysmic event like this, domestic violence peaks. Women become extremely unsafe when generally the men return home from the fires and subject them to domestic violence.
You don't care about the people affected, the firefighters, our country. You care about your vile, hateful, spiteful politics.
You are no better than a bunch of arsonists. Borderline arsonists.
Senator Steele-John.
And
Senator,
you should be ashamed.
We are used to Senator Steele-John's lectures.
Senator, what's your point of order?
It is highly offensive for him to refer to members of this chamber, regardless of their political party, as arsonists.
Don't get me wrong. I think Scott Morrison has dropped the ball a few times now. Just yesterday, Morrison messed up when victims confronted him. He had no response. He came up with nothing. He should have said to them that the government has just released whatever amount of emergency funds for your area. but he had nothing to offer when attacked. His response was to simply run away. But even in this case, the victims were clearly politically motivated. They literally said it.
You won't be getting any votes down here, buddy. You're an idiot. Who votes Liberal around here? Nobody. Who votes Liberal around here? Nobody. Who votes Liberal around here? Nobody.
Then when they chased him out, they cried that no one cares about them.
This is not fair. We are totally forgotten about down here.
But you literally just chased out the most powerful man in the country. So please, for the sake of those who have to go through bushfire season every single year, can we please just focus on the real solutions? If you support the work we do here at TR News, if you're not falling for the fake news about these fires and refuse to allow everything to be blamed on climate change, then please consider supporting us financially at tr.news/support. Unlike Greta Thunberg, we don't have any significant funders sponsoring us to push a false narrative. We rely solely on your generosity. Without you, we cannot do this. So please go to tr.news/support now.